had professional opportunities in that society, and an old white plantocracy and merchant class. So that there is always simmering within the class equation of Jamaica a potential danger that it could become a racial tension because of the correlation. But I think you have a strengths and weaknesses situation. I think that there is the potential in Jamaica to become one of the first societies that really evolved through to a genuinely non-racial society, a society in which race has ceased to be a factor. We've not got there yet, by any manner of means. But I think that in our political system, there's been a tremendous contribution that has evolved from the fact that the political system has brought together people of all sorts of colors who subscribe to common objectives and work within the political system in that way. I think the trade union movement has contributed to this by again creating an arena of natural collective action that cuts across the barriers of race. But I think that the fundamental answer to whether we achieve a non-racial society lies in whether we now can create an egalitarian society. We can create a society that really has an economic process that does not guarantee the perpetuation in economic power of one group because their fathers were in economic power. To the extent to which we can democratize industry, to the extent to which we can develop cooperatives, the extent to which we can develop an educational system that really puts everybody through a common development experience in youth. And I use those terms very carefully, a common development experience in youth. We can create a non-racial society. We're probably better placed than almost anywhere else in the world right now. But we're not there yet.
Mr. Prime Minister, has the philosophy of government changed since its inception? Is democratic socialism in practice now different from the vision when you first espoused it?
No.
No?
No. Like all philosophies, one has to look at it in operational terms. Because you have to operationalize any philosophy. A philosophy, you know, is a set of ideas and objectives. And so we constantly review the question of tactics and strategy and, you know, what are the appropriate government measures at a given moment of time. But the philosophy, no.
All right. Now, the philosophy of government, as you've articulated it, can accommodate a capitalistic structure to some degree, or some degree of capitalism. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
Well, that's a difficult question, because here we're getting into a semantic problem. You know, what do we mean by capitalistic? If you mean by that a sector to the economy that is privately owned,
yes,
and takes decisions in response to objective market forces, yes, there is room for that. Because in our lexicon, we don't use capitalism in that way. We use the word capitalism to describe a total system in which a whole society is organized around the idea of the profit motive. That to us is what capitalism means, and that's what we mean when we use the word. And we don't accept at all that capitalism in that sense has any place in Jamaica's future. But we believe that a private sector responding to market forces and taking economic decisions in a system of private ownership has a place. Now, if to you that is a capitalistic sector, then I would then say, yes, that is so. But I want to be very careful about this, because we're quite clear that there is a permanent role in our concept for a private sector. And I tell you what we ask of it. We insist that it understand that it must operate in terms of good corporate citizenship. We do not believe in a society in which good corporate citizenship is in the private gift of a private organization. He has a right to be a bad corporate citizen or a good corporate citizen. We don't accept that. He must be a good corporate citizen. And the state must determine objectively what is good corporate citizenship. Secondly, that the private sector organization must operate within the context of a socially directed economy. That is an economy being planned on behalf of the people to achieve the needs and objectives of the majority of the people. We believe, thirdly, that a private sector must be prepared to democratize itself, must be prepared to work in terms of worker participation. We're not rushing into this in any, crazy way. We're proceeding in a very pragmatic way, a very deliberate way, but the objectives are clear. We're not prepared to accept a society indefinitely in which the worker is permanently the hewer of wood, the drawer of water, the mindless cipher that has no place, no ideas, no contribution that is creative that he can make. We really believe in industrial democracy. And therefore, in beginning with worker participation models, etc., we expect that. And so within those carefully defined parameters, we believe in a private sector. And we have a dynamic private sector. And in fact, we've got some sectors to our private sector now who are producing brilliantly. They're breaking all sorts of new records in exports, and we're very proud of them.
At the same time, Mr. Prime Minister, you are certainly not unaware of the fact that many Jamaicans have left. Many are here in New York. Many have gone to Canada, elsewhere in the United States. Many are saying that Jamaica has gone communist. How would you answer them?
That is not only not true, but that it's silly, is really how I would answer it. And I don't mean to be rude, but there really just are some things in life that are silly, and it's very difficult to be more polite than that. Let us look at what Jamaica is. It's got an absolutely enshrined and supported multi-party democracy in which anybody is free to form a political party and compete in free elections. One. It has what must surely be the freest press in the world. I read the columns every day, and if that is not press freedom, I would not like to be exposed to it. Freedom of worship, independent courts of law, all the things that are associated in the Western mind with plural democracy are in place in Jamaica. They are enshrined in the Constitution, and they are supported by us. We have people who run around saying that we are crypto-communists, which means that we really are planning to dismantle all of this. And my reply is, we've been there quite a long time now. What are we waiting for? We just won another smashing election victory with the greatest plurality in Jamaican history. If we really intended to abolish the press and do all these things which are totalitarian, and that is the important word, what are we waiting for? We're not. We're totally committed. What we really are trying to do, and of course people find this very difficult to understand, I suppose, is to deepen the democratic process in Jamaica. We are going beyond just a parliament, developing community councils so that communities can begin to come together, take decisions about, where to place their sports field, what to do with a particular group of youth, which land they think should come next on stream in land reform and agrarian reform. So that what we're really trying to do is, because we base the whole of our philosophy on faith in the people, we're trying to create a society in which the people have proximate opportunities to express themselves and develop their creative potential through a working democracy at every level. We do not believe that the right to vote every 4 years here or every 5 years in Jamaica is in itself democracy. It is one of the cornerstones of a democratic process. But nobody has a democratic experience when the only decision that they take of significance in their lives is choosing between the platforms presented by two political parties. That's not democracy. That's voting between two platforms once in 4 years and hoping to God you can understand what the difference between the two platforms is in the first place. Democracy is to do with that I am significant in my environment. And if I'm at a workplace and I have an idea about my workplace, I'm not a cipher. There is a means by which I can make my contribution. That if I live in a community and I don't like the way my community is being developed, I have a means of expressing that disagreement.
I must ask you, in behalf of the many Jamaicans who are here who complain about what's going on in Jamaica as far as a paucity of access, paucity of materials. They can't get, the gasoline prices are high, the cost of food is high, the cost of materials are high. What do you say?
Well, a lot of that's true. Let's take some of them in turn. Insofar as gas is concerned, we not only charge a lot for gas and have put massive taxes on gas, but we've now stopped the importation of cars. Jamaica is a poor country. Jamaica is a country whose priorities have to do with whether poor people are going to get